Now, Spotify and struggling don't coincide together that often, right? After all, this music streaming player is the most used player, surpassing Apple Music and many other contemporaries. This year, with adding 36 million new listeners, Spotify reached a total of 551 million users. This huge 27% increase in Spotify users every month marks the most they've ever had as of now. As such, not everyone signing up for Spotify will be ready to pay the subscription fee for the premium version. Having said that, Spotify did exceptionally well with premium subscribers in the second quarter, with 10 million new users opting to pay for it, 3 million up from what they initially expected. So overall, they increased their paying customer base by 17% compared to the same time last year, which is a great achievement. With all this large revenue bagged in their cart, we would reasonably expect Spotify to make huge amounts of profits. But in reality, the company has never made a single dime in profits so far. Every year, Spotify keeps losing money, and its losses have added up to over $4.24 billion. So why is Spotify unable to make a single profitable year, despite its enormous user growth and market dominance in the music streaming industry? In this video, we'll analyze the issues that have been causing Spotify's onset struggle to generate profits and explore the recent steps the company has taken to address this challenge. The multi-billion music streaming company is primarily owned by its founders Daniel Ek and Martin Lorenzon. Its revenue comes mainly from the subscription fees from its premium users and advertising on its free tier. The total revenue for the end of June 2023 amounted to $3.5 billion, representing a 13.66% growth compared to the previous year. Even with a substantial increase in revenue and millions of new users, Spotify couldn't ignore the sordid financial challenges and subsequently reports a notable loss in earnings each year. For instance, the company recorded an adjusted operating loss of $262 million in the second quarter of 2023. Spotify attributed these losses to several factors, including the closure of some of its major podcast shows and the costs associated with excess real estate. But there's more to the story. There are other core problems behind Spotify's consistent lack of profits. Let's explore them further. It's evident from Spotify's financial analysis that the core issue of the substantial loss revolves around the substantial royalty fees. Spotify has to pay a sheer portion of royalty to the artists who own the music played on the platform. In fact, for every dollar Spotify makes from playing music, they have to give almost 2/3 of it to these music owners. This leaves them with only 1/3 of the money to cover all their other expenses like operational costs, research, advertisement, and taxation. This isn't enough for them to make a profit. Even though Spotify is the biggest music streaming service with 30% of the market, it can't be bartered with lower fees. It's mainly due to their dealing with three really big music companies: Universal Music Group, Sony Music Entertainment, and Warner Music Group, also known as the Big Three. These three companies pretty much control the music industry. Together, these three entities hold a commanding 70% share of the music recording industry and a significant 60% share of the music publishing industry. They help artists to get more exposure, and in return, they get to own the music these artists create. Spotify needs to get licenses from these big three companies to play most of the songs on their platform. Without these licenses, millions of songs will be unavailable for streaming on Spotify. This then would lead people to go over to other similar services like Apple Music, Amazon Music, or YouTube Music, which cost exactly the same $10.99 per month in the US. The difference between having access to the Big Three's music and not having it is huge for Spotify. So they don't have much power to negotiate lower fees, and that's why they end up giving away almost 70 cents for every dollar they make, leaving very little for them to make a profit. Now, if we look at Spotify's marketing and advertising efforts, we'll realize how crucial they are for its growth strategy. They attract and retain users in the highly competitive music streaming industry by identifying Spotify's key and state-of-the-art features. But believe it or not, Spotify tends to splurge the cash recklessly when it comes to advertising, often without much financial restraint. To give you an example, in the last year, it spent nearly $70 million on things like advertising, marketing, and promotions. This amount is a bit higher than what they spent the year before, which was $66 million. They use too many digital ads, partner with influencers and artists, and offer free trials to attract new subscribers. While marketing is influential for user acquisition and brand recognition, it can be expensive and can eat into the company's profits. It's hard for Spotify to figure out how much money to spend on marketing while also making sure they can keep their finances stable, especially when they're competing with the big three. Spotify's expansion into new products like podcasts and audiobooks is really a requirement for staying competitive among other tech giant rivals. However, these ventures demand significant investment in content acquisition, production, and development. Podcasts in particular have become a significant focus, with costly acquisitions and exclusive content deals. Spotify made a $1 billion bet on podcasts, securing major figures like the Obamas and Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, and injecting $286 million into 2 podcast studios. Surprisingly, despite these hefty investments, Spotify found itself in the red, losing over $500 million in the first half of 2023. On top of everything, Spotify faces competition from streaming alternatives like YouTube Music and Pandora, which provide free music with advertising. These rivals have enormous resources and huge user bases. They also offer free music streaming supported by ads, posing a significant challenge for Spotify. This fiery competition compels Spotify to continually enhance its user experience, content offerings, and overall service quality in order to retain its loyal paying subscribers. Now let's talk about the conundrum that sets Spotify apart in this race. Unlike other tech giants like Apple and Amazon, Spotify is solely dedicated to music streaming. The big companies see music streaming as a strategic loss leader. This means they can afford to offer music at a lower cost because they have loads of other products and services to promote alongside it. For instance, Apple with its Apple One bundle combines music with iCloud, Apple TV, and more. As for Amazon, they offer the Amazon Prime bundle, which bundles Amazon Music with a comprehensive package including Prime Delivery, Prime Video, Prime Gaming, Prime Reading, and of course their flagship e-commerce website, Amazon.com, all under one roof. This approach isn't just about turning a profit on music. It's about creating a comprehensive user experience and driving sales in other lucrative areas. But Spotify can't do the same. While they've tried collaborations with companies like Hulu, Samsung, and AT&T, the profits from such ventures are shared, making them less financially rewarding. Spotify has been trying really hard to manage its expenses. In an attempt to set things right, Spotify made some changes. It trimmed about 2% of its workforce in June and increased the price of its main subscriptions by an extra $1 each month. Moreover, they've had to close some offices and make other cost-cutting changes. The goal is to make their company more sustainable and align their staff with their long-term plans. But these changes have some short-term consequences, like spending money on restructuring. Nevertheless, they see it as an investment in their future financial health. Spotify is also trying to stand out by offering different plans and exclusive content to keep their users happy. In the first half of 2023, Spotify made waves by nearly doubling its subscriber growth compared to the previous year, attracting a whopping 15 million new premium subscribers. Despite its dominant position in the music streaming industry, Spotify continues to be a company that spends billions, sets records, and keeps the music playing, all without turning a profit. The true challenge lies in escaping the grip of major record labels. If these labels keep claiming 70% of Spotify's revenue, it's doubtful that the company can achieve profitability solely through music streaming, regardless of their efforts.